Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be talking about the TAC surgery that I recently had in Chicago. As I've mentioned before on my channel, I have a weak cervix, so in order to combat that, you have to have a cerclage in in like your future pregnancies. So I either could have gotten pregnant and gotten a cerclage at a vaginal cerclage at like I think around like 11 or 12 weeks is when they do it, and they would remove that before the baby is born so you can have a vaginal birth. Or I could have an abdominal cerclage where they can place it before you're pregnant, or they can place it while you're pregnant, and I think you have up until like 12 weeks to do that, but they can do it any point, or they prefer to do it I think around like 8 weeks, as I think that's the earliest they prefer to do it if you are pregnant. So I decided, okay, so just a little backstory. I don't know if I touched on this in my previous video, but I might have. So after I had Kaysen, I was moved to the high risk department at UAB, and I didn't feel comfortable at that hospital. I don't feel comfortable with the doctors there, the decisions they make. I feel like they don't really like to give the patients a say, and they kind of do what they feel like is best for you. And I know what's best for me at the end of the day. Nobody is going to care about me more than I care about me or my baby, so I have to take matters into my own hands. That's the way I was looking at it. So they were telling me, okay, so we want you to wait 6 months before you get pregnant again after the birth of the baby. And once you do that, you can come in at this date and we will do the cerclage for you, the vaginal cerclage, and see how it goes. But they told me that if I got pregnant with twins, then they're not going to do anything. So to me, it's like, okay, that's not really worth it to me, because you're telling me if I have twins, I'm just going to go into preterm labor again. So I decided that I would reach out to a doctor on my own. So I joined this group called Abby Loopers online, and I think if you just type in Abby Loopers just in Google search, then you'll be able to find them, but I'll link it in the description. And it's basically like everyone, I think everyone there is like an incompetent cervix. They have that condition. So that's basically what it is, and they just talk about their experience with it, and like if they've experienced loss or anything, which a lot of the women on there have, and a lot of them request different doctors that they've gone to. So the two main ones that I had seen were Dr. Haney in Chicago and Dr. Davis. I'm not sure, I think he's in New Jersey or something, I'm not really sure, but I heard a lot more about Dr. Haney, and whenever I would look it up on YouTube, a lot of people were talking about him. And so I ended up calling his office, or I emailed him. I got his email, and I emailed him and told him just like a brief history of like what happened with both my pregnancies with the Dory and Kaysen. And he told me to email me back really quickly, and he told me to call his secretary, and I guess it's a secretary, but he told me to call her and basically schedule a consultation, like a phone consultation with him. So that's what I did. I called her, I scheduled a phone consultation with him. And it was supposed to, I think it was like an hour-long consultation is how long it's supposed to be. So we scheduled it, and I ended up having a consultation. It was like an hour and a half, like he can talk. So I had the consultation. Sorry, I have like a lot of like liquid in my mouth, but sheesh. So we talked, and he told me everything, and like he's very thorough about everything, and a lot of the stuff I already knew, but I guess he just wanted to like brief me again on it and just make sure I understood what I was getting into and everything. And so to add to that, the doctor at UAB that I talked to, and I was I had requested the tack. I said that I wanted, that's the one that I wanted, that's one I felt more comfortable with, and so I wanted to see if I could get that. And she was saying that she didn't think I was a candidate, she didn't think it was necessary, and all the risks, I could lose my uterus, I could, just a lot of stuff that she was saying. So I told him all that stuff, and he was saying that not necessarily that it's not true, but basically what she was telling me was based off of research from 30 years ago when they first started doing the tack, when it was first introduced and nobody really knew what they were doing. And basically she was just trying to scare me out of it, which I told him that's how I felt, and he was like, yeah, that's definitely what she was trying to do. So we talked about it, and then he told me that to call his assistant back and schedule an appointment. So I scheduled one for June 4th is when it was scheduled for, and that's when I ended up going. So I think I told my work that I had an appointment in Chicago to have a surgery in sometime in April, and they ended up, they were like, oh, well, how long are you gonna need off? And at first I was telling them like, well, it's an abdominal, I didn't want to give them too much information, so I told them it was an abdominal surgery, and at most it's going to take 4 weeks, but I think that I'll be fine with like 2 weeks off. And they like went back and forth, and then she was like, oh, well, we will, and I was full-time, so I had insurance through my job, and I'll touch on the insurance too, just in case anyone wants to know about that. So she was like, okay, well, I'll let you know what we're going to do, blah, blah, blah. So my appointment was June 4th, so, which is a Tuesday. And so HR girl got back to me, and she was like, yeah, we just feel like it's best, we're gonna go ahead and let you go on the 31st of May, and if you decide to come back after however long, then you can apply again. And she was saying I didn't have to necessarily do the whole interview process again, but if they had a job open, then they would bring me back, which I was like, okay. And so I was, she told me they're gonna let me go on the 31st, and so I was thinking like, okay, well, my insurance, it's month, insurance is like month to month, and so I was like, well, can I just work on the up until the 3rd, because I can come in that day, because I was going to be driving up there. And she was like, no, we just think it'll be best if you just stop working on that Friday, which was the 31st. And so, like, obviously, like, you see what they're trying to do, save money and not having to pay for my insurance. So that was that with my job and everything, like getting the appointment set up, which it was really easy to do. And so at this point, I had my appointment, and like I had a hotel booked and everything, like I had it set, like I was like, I'm going to Chicago, like it's a given, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So insurance, so my job had Blue Cross Blue Shield of Alabama, and that's the insurance I used. So I had to actually go back and forth with insurance, see if they would cover it beforehand, and they were telling me they don't just cover that surgery, and so I would have to get like a letter of basically saying, like, get it from Dr. Haney saying this is why she needs that surgery and everything. So that was like really hard to deal with, because I had to go back and forth calling Dr. Haney's office and calling my insurance company, and like I talked to different people, and some of them didn't even know what I was talking about, and one of the first girls was like, no, we just won't cover that. And I was like, oh, well, like, can I see if I can get more information or something? She was like, no, we don't cover it. I was like, okay. So I called like every single day on my lunch break trying to figure it out. And so that was really complicated. And then finally, like, I like got everything together and stuff, and then I had gotten the letter sent to them, or my Dr. Haney got it sent to them, and then I called them and I was like, okay, well, how long before we know, like, if it's gonna be covered? And they were like, well, it can take like 45 days. And my surgery was in less than 45 days, and I needed to get it paid for, because I think it's $7,000 out of pocket. I don't have $7,000 just sitting around. So it was really scary. Like, I was really stressed out and everything, and obviously. So that was really bad. And then like a couple of days later, I ended up getting an email from the insurance girl at Dr. Haney's office that handles like all the insurance stuff there. And she was like, it was approved, and I got like the letter of approval and everything. So that was really exciting. I was really happy. And hold on, my camera starts to overheat. Okay, hopefully this is like how much I was zoomed in before my phone. I mean, my camera was like dying, so I don't remember where I left off, but I know I was talking about how they like let me, or I was talking about my insurance. Yeah, and so I had Blue Cross Blue Shield, and they ended up approving it. I really hope that I like didn't miss anything. If I did, I'll just like type it in. But I ended up getting approved, and that was just the biggest blessing because like, let me zoom in a little more. Because I don't just have like $7,000 sitting around if I wasn't approved, and I don't know what I was gonna do. Like, I was just thinking like positive, which is usually really difficult for me. But yeah, so I got approved, and like happy day, like I was so excited. So I don't remember what day I got approved, but I know at this point I knew I was pregnant. So, oh, should I do like a separate video? No, I'll just talk about it here because it's like really relevant. So around like the end of April, I just had like this really funny feeling in my like uterus area, and I was like really scared. I didn't know what was happening, and I like my periods weren't really like on track because I just had a baby, so like I didn't know like how far apart they're supposed to be anymore, like when they're supposed to come or anything. So I just had like this weird feeling in my uterus, and it felt like there was something in there, like it just felt like full. And so I remember, this is like really TMI, like I'm kind of like digging in deep here, but MJ and I were like in the bed together, and like things were getting hot and spicy and stuff, and I was just like, I just felt really uncomfortable. Like I just wanted him to stop. Like it just felt extremely uncomfortable. Like I felt like something was in there, and like whenever I go to the bathroom, I'd like try to like push really hard because I was like, okay, maybe it's like a clot, or I just didn't know what it was. So I started freaking out, and I was like, oh my gosh, what if it's like a tumor or something, or like a mass? Like I was just really scared. So I told him, I was like, hey, I'm gonna set up an appointment to go to the doctor and just like see what's going on. So I went, and I went there, and it was like a little doctor's office, and I think I'm like kind of like not sitting straight. I was in there, and I'd never been to this one before, and so I was sitting there, and she was like, what brings you in? And I was like, I just feel like I feel like something in my uterus. I know I'm not pregnant. I literally kept saying, I know I'm not pregnant. I don't know what it is. It just feels like a full feeling. She was like asking me questions and stuff, and I was like, also I've like ever since like maybe like a couple weeks before I had a case, and like my nipples started getting really dry and like flaky, and they're like still doing that, and they're still doing it at that point. So I was like, what is going on with like my nipples? And so she looked at them and said it's just like hormones and stuff. So I was like, okay. And so she did like an exam. She did a pelvic exam, which I was okay with because I didn't think I was pregnant. And so she did that, and this was on May 2nd. This is my baby brother's birthday. This is on May 2nd. She did a pelvic exam, and then like they do this thing where like they basically like stick 2 fingers in your vagina and like press upwards, I think, and like ask if it hurts or something, and like it didn't hurt or anything. So she like put pressure on my stomach, and I was like, okay, I don't know what's going on, I just know I'm not pregnant. She was like, okay, we're gonna get a urine sample. This is so funny to me. We're gonna get a urine sample from you and just see if it's like like a urinary, like a UTI or anything. And I was like, okay, like hopefully it's just like a UTI. And so I went and did that, and so I went back in the room and sat down, and it was like there was nobody else in there. It was like a really small office, so it was the guy at the reception desk and the doctor or the nurse, whoever was doing like my exam and everything, and then her assistant. So that was it. So the assistant's in like the little other room. Like it's really small office. Like we're like maybe like 5 feet away from each other. And so she's in there, and I hear her say, the nurse's name was Kathy. She was like, "Hey Kathy, can you come here please?" I thought I had an STD or something. And I've only been sleeping with one person. And so I was just like, I'm going to fucking kill MJ. Like, I was so mad. Like, it's like the way she said it. I was like, okay, could I be pregnant? I was like, no, like, what? Like, I was just scared. I was like, what could it be? Like, if it's an STD, like, I'm going to kill him because why are you sleeping? At the time we were still together. We took a little breakup after that, but like, I was just like he gave me something. I was so mad. And so she like called Kathy in there, and she was like, "Oh, that's not a good sign." And she's like, "Oh, I'm just kidding." So she goes back there, and she she like comes back around to the door, and she's like, "Well, it's positive." And I was like, "What?" Like, she brought me a little test, like it was a pregnancy test, and she was like, "It's positive." And I was like, what? Like, I just could not believe that it was like, I never envisioned myself finding out I was pregnant that way. So I was just like, oh, okay. And like I was like smiling, but I was like, oh my gosh, like I had this surgery booked in a month, and like they can do it while you're pregnant, but like I didn't know like how everything was gonna line up and like everything, because I know you can only do it at a certain point. And I was just like panicking a little bit, and I was like, okay. And like they were like, okay, so you need to set up an appointment with doctor, blah blah blah. And so like I left and I came home, and I was just like in awe. MJ wasn't here, it was just me. So I was just like sad, because I just wasn't planning on getting pregnant. I wanted to get the surgery done first and then think about all that afterwards. And also we had looked at wedding rings and engagement rings previously, and I was just saying like I want more than like a boyfriend out of you. Like we need to have a better foundation before we move forward and having more kids and stuff. So I was just really down, and then he came home, and like I told him, and he was like, "I'm sorry." Like he wasn't mad. He was just like, he felt bad because like he knew like we weren't really trying to get pregnant at that time. So that was like the biggest freaking surprise of my life. And so then I was like, okay, it can't be real. So I think the next day, like I bought a pregnancy test, and it was positive. So I was like, okay. And so we didn't tell anybody for a while. And I'm the type where like, I don't think I show, well, I do show really early because I've had my freaking baby so close together. It's only been 3 months since I had Kason. And so we like started figuring things out. So I told my Dr. Haney, and he was like, you'll be like 8 weeks at that point. That's perfect timing to get this done. So everything worked out perfectly. He's like, I don't know how you did it or what you did, but yeah, you did it at perfect time. So everything worked out just fine. So I found out I was pregnant, and so I hate this camera. It freaking overheats all the time. But I found out I was pregnant, but everything was fine. So we get everything in line for Chicago, and we end up getting there, and I can't eat past 12 o'clock midnight before the surgery, and my surgery was at 12 the next day, and they wanted me to be there at 10 a.m. So I got there, I couldn't eat the night before really, so we had like these nasty ass pizza in Chicago. My mom was saying, oh, we have to get their pizza because that's what they're known for. Their pizza is disgusting. Like it was so nasty. I was so mad because I was like, it was like 11, and I was like, I can't even eat anything else, so this is my last meal. So the next day, I'm gonna like try to make it quick before my camera dies. The next day we go in at 10 o'clock. It's a really beautiful hospital, and we're waiting, and I think it might have been like an hour and a half. They called me back, and they gave MJ this buzzer, and they were like, this is for you just to get like updates on her and stuff. So we went back, and I went back there, changed and everything. She gave me like a little shot. like right here to like numb me, and Dr. Haney was talking to me at the time, and that shit hurt so bad. It stung really bad. And then she did that so that she could put the IV in without it hurting so bad. And so she did that. Nothing was in the IV yet. She didn't put any medicine in. She just like stuck it in there. So he was talking, just let me know what was gonna happen and everything. And then MJ went back. They like wheeled me into this room, and like I don't know if you've ever seen like TV shows where it's like the surgery room or like when they're operating. Like that's actually how it was. I wasn't expecting that. So they wheeled me in there. I was really scared because I was by myself at this point. And they put the gas mask on my face, and they started putting the stuff in my IV, I guess. And like I could like feel like it was like the room was like going backwards. Like I could feel it working. So I was like, they like talked to me. I was like, yeah, it's working. And like I was out, and then I woke up and I was in a lot of pain, and my mom was with me, and we were just like back in the same room that I was first in. And so the nurse was telling me like, we can't give you anything yet. I was like, I'm in pain. And she was like, we can't give you anything yet. In a little bit I'll be able to give you a Percocet or whatever, which come to find out, I think she wasn't actually supposed to give it to me that soon, but I'm glad she did. So I was back there for a little bit, and then they ended up taking me back into like my own room. And so they told me like, okay, so they wheeled me in like this bed, like I'm laying down, and so I have to get in the bed in the room. And I was like, I can't move. Like I can't move. And so they were like, do you want us to lift you, or do you want to do it yourself? And so I was like, no, because if they move me, it's gonna hurt really bad, because they don't know like exactly like where I'm hurting and stuff. And so I was like, I'll just do it myself. And it took me forever. Like whenever I would sit up, I would like have to catch my breath. Like I'd be like like not like I was about to cry, but like I had to do that. Like I felt like I couldn't breathe because like my intestines were like puffed up so much. And so like I was doing it, and like everyone's fucking staring at me. And so like I'm trying to do it and stuff, and like I just start crying because it's so painful. And then it's like I feel like I can't do it. So like I started lifting myself, and it took me forever. And I was just like, I said I can't do it. Like when I said I can't do it, that's when it like hit me, and like I started crying. And like when I would cry, it would hurt even more. So that wasn't good either. So I eventually like ended up like I was able to get in the bed, and like I was in so much pain. Like it was so painful. Like just like my whole like abdomen just hurt so bad. So finally in the bed, and I think like my mom had left, and like it was just me and MJ. And so I was like, can I get some medicine? And they were like, no, we can't give you the Percocet yet. She was only supposed to give you Percocet earlier, and like you can press this button every 15 minutes and we'll put medicine in your IV. But that shit was not working. So I was like, okay, like this isn't working. Like I couldn't wait for the freaking Percocet. So like I ended up like asking the nurse like at some point like, hey, when can I get it, because this ain't working. And so like eventually they ended up giving it to me. And yeah, so I stayed there for a couple of hours, and like once I took like, because I was taking 2 Percocet every 4 hours at the hospital. So, and I don't know the dosage or anything, but it was like my freaking lifesaver. And so take it, and like right after I took it, I would get sleepy, which was really nice, and like also the pain would subside. And my back was hurting really bad, so I kept asking for like heat packs to put on my back because I couldn't stretch or anything. And so I had a catheter in as well. And so that's how like all my pee would come out and stuff, so I didn't have to get up to pee or anything. And I was constipated and backed up, so I couldn't poop, or I didn't have an urge to poop. So I was like in bed that night, and like I couldn't really eat anything. I think I like was eating applesauce, and that was it. And so the next day they were like, okay, we're gonna take the catheter out. And I was like, oh, well, am I gonna be awake or asleep for that? And so, oh, also my throat was like kind of like, it was hard to swallow stuff because I had a breathing tube in while I was out, and they took it out before I woke up. So like I don't remember any of that, but the catheter was still in. And they were like, okay, we're gonna take the catheter out. I was like, is it gonna hurt? And they were like, no, it's not gonna hurt. So like they like emptied my bag of pee or whatever, and like she was like, okay. And I think she like counted, and she like snatched it out. That shit hurt so bad, but it hurt like for like an instant, and then it was over. But it definitely hurt. Like I don't know why they told me it wouldn't hurt, because it hurt. So I pulled it out and I was like, oh my gosh. And so like immediately I feel like I have to pee. And so I went in there with them, those 2 nurses. I went in there and I tried to pee, and they like turned the water on and stuff, and I was like, I guess I don't have to go. And so I went back to the bed and stuff, and then I think like a couple hours later they were like asking me if I had to pee again, and like I tried, it didn't work. And so they were like, if it doesn't work, we're gonna have to put the catheter back in. And I was just like, you're gonna put it back in while I'm awake, like fully conscious? So like I started crying because like I did not want to do that. And so MJ was still there with me. He stayed the whole time. He's amazing. So he ended up taking me to the bathroom, and like I sat there and I asked him to run the water, and like when he took me there I was able to pee, I guess because I'm more comfortable around him. And so I was able to pee. I think I had like the like tiniest bit of like maybe like 2 drops of blood, if that. But I did have like discharge, so that was kind of weird. And I was asking the doctor, like asking them like, is this normal? And they're like, yeah, it's normal. And so yeah, I was really happy I was able to pee on my own. And so it kind of stung, but it wasn't so bad. Like it was everything that I would like think it would feel like. That's what it felt like. And so I wasn't really worried or anything. And so I was just, that day I was just like, I just want to see the baby, like just make sure my baby's okay and stuff, because they're so small and it's not like I can feel them or anything. Like I wanted to make sure they were good after the surgery and stuff. And so they were like, or no, it was the night before I was asking about the baby, I think. And they were like, yeah, we're they're not gonna check on the baby till like tomorrow, like afternoon. I was like, fuck. And so finally like the afternoon came, and like they wheeled me upstairs, and like the way they do stuff is weird, because like I was sitting outside the ultrasound room, like it wasn't a waiting room or anything. I was just sitting there like looking a hot ass mess. My hair wasn't done or anything, so I'm just sitting there like outside the room with MJ, and we're just waiting on somebody to come and like take us in there. So finally she comes and we go in there, and like I have to sit up for the ultrasound. I'm like sitting up, and it's a vaginal ultrasound, so it was kind of weird. But she like did it, and the baby was, I don't think they were moving at that point, but like they had a heartbeat and stuff. So that was good. I feel like I've been like telling the story forever, but that was really good. And then saw the baby, so everything, like I was happy, whatever. And after that, like the pain was still about the same. I could finally walk by the next day. It was really difficult. I have to catch my breath every time I was walking, but I was able to walk and stuff. But it was really hard. Everything was really hard. So that was the day we went home, and so everything was fine, like same pain and everything. But when we pulled up outside my house, when we got home, my arm, I was sitting in the back seat with MJ, and so he was on the other side. He went to get the bags and stuff, so my arm was like on the door, and like I was trying to like sit up, and he didn't know that, so he came around, and then he snatches the car door open while my arm's on it. And so like obviously I jerk, so that means that my abdomen jerks, and so I just started crying because it hurt so bad. Like looking back, it was really funny, but like I like broke out in tears. It hurt really bad. He was just like, I'm sorry. And oh my gosh, I was like so mad for like a split second. And then I got out, and like I had to walk up steps to get into our apartment, so like that wasn't fun, but it wasn't horrible. And yeah, then I just like recovered at home. I would take like Percocet when I needed it. I think the first day I got home, I kept taking it every 4 hours. But I only took one every 4 hours because that's what my prescription says. So I got Percocet, stool softener, and like something for nausea. So I took the Percocet every 4 hours, I think the first night. And then the next day I was like, okay, I don't want to take all this medication while I'm pregnant. So I would only take it if I needed it. And I definitely took it when I was about to go to sleep, because I was like, I won't be able to sleep without it. So yeah, and then like each day it kind of got better and better and better. I was able to walk more. I was able to take a shower by myself. Oh, I took a shower at the hospital. MJ bathed me basically, so that was really nice. And I washed my hair and stuff. And then like here I was able to take a shower by myself, even with all the pain, I think by like the 3rd day. And then by like that time next week I was fine. I could do everything on my own. It was a little bit uncomfortable standing up straight, and my stomach was like still a little bloated, but it was all good. I would definitely do it over again for the sake of my baby if I had to. And I'm just so happy they're doing good. We've checked on them in ultrasounds and stuff. I think it's a girl. MJ thinks I think he thinks it's a boy. Something funny happened when we got engaged. The day we got engaged, I threw up, and I never threw up with the Dory or casein, and I like still get nauseous. I haven't actually thrown up again, but like I still get nauseous and headaches this time around. So that's pretty much it. The recovery wasn't horrible. I mean, it was worse than I thought it was gonna be, but it wasn't absolutely horrible. It took like a week and a half to recover. I think for me at least, I definitely could have gone back to work after a week. I just would have been really uncomfortable. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope I answered a lot of stuff that you're wondering about. If I didn't, definitely comment down below or message me on Instagram, anything. I would love to answer your questions or just give you more information. So yeah, thanks again for watching, and I will see you in my next video.